Florida State 3-0 to 3-4. Is Mike Norvell done? I mean, what could he do at this point to change things there? That is just terrible.
Well, today he's not done. They said they're gonna, hold on. Now they're interesting. They're gonna hold on to him until the end of the year and then evaluate. But I think it was a Florida AD. Was it Scott? No, it was the one before Scott Strickland, I think, that said what's done eventually must be done now. So that to me, that's always been the mantra of Florida firing their coach, which like you said, there's good things in that. They see your point. But with Florida State, this is one where it is a little clearer that this is not working. This is 3 of the 4 years of Mike Norvell that it just hasn't been great. The defense gets progressively worse every week, it seems like. That's the real problem. And then now the offense is starting to stall as Tommy C there, Castellanos for them, gets injured. He's got a few injuries and it's not looking great for Gus Malzahn, the OC. So you can evaluate all day. You can hire as many OCs as you want, but at the end of the day, it starts with the man at the top.
I'm kind of, and I'm going to say this to you in this regard, and maybe you'll be surprised by me saying this. I'm kind of disappointed in Gus Malzahn at FSU because the ACC is not a great defensive historic conference. He should be able to pick apart all of these defenses. So I don't understand why it's not working.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I mean, they had a nice start against Alabama, an SEC opponent, but it's just gone downhill. I guess teams have adjusted. He has not been able to adjust back. That's been the biggest problem. Again, just a couple of injuries, things like that. It's not getting their speed guys involved, not getting their younger players involved offensively. So that's been a huge issue. And in the game against Stanford, it just reached its zenith as far as all the problems that have been seen from Florida State that really started around the Miami game.
Did you watch any of that game at the end? I was watching.
I did.
I watched it. So here's what I turned it on in like the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Did FSU substitute for a true freshman quarterback? Did the guy before him get hurt? Why was a true freshman quarterback in there at the end? Tell me what's going on. I have no idea.
I want to say
Did they just sub quarterbacks because it wasn't going well?
I think so.
Because again, there's just so much college football and there's so much to follow every week. So I couldn't tell you that. I was just like, why is there a true freshman quarterback in the game? You know what I mean? So it was dumbfounding, but they were just, I have to give you credit. I have to give Stanford all the credit in the world.
Oh yeah.
They showed up. They didn't have to show up and they did. And that was supposed to be the game that stops the bleeding for FSU, and it did not. And my response to you is that I just can't see. I don't see. Again, they were 2-10 last year. I can't see that if he finishes 5-7 or 6-6, I can't see worse than 7-5 or 8-4 that they're going to forgive this, honestly. And I just jokingly said this. I said, even with Florida now, with a fired coach, Florida's got a better chance to beat FSU than they did 3 weeks ago, and I could see it happening in Gainesville. Seriously, I could.
No, you're right. That's the thing.
And here's the thing that I would say about the Napier thing. Maybe I would have waited till after the Georgia game because Florida mathematically can still finish 6-2 in the SEC, and they could still mathematically make the SEC championship game. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but the point of what it comes down to is that maybe you wait till he loses to Georgia, and then there's no mathematical possibilities for anything good this year, and then you get rid of him. I know they wanted to get rid of him but you get my point in this regard. And I still think even with the fired coach, they could beat Georgia. They could have beat Georgia last year with Lagway. And I think this defense is better. So I think that game will be close. I'm not saying Florida will win, but I think that will be a competitive game in 2 weeks. I know people will be surprised to see that, but I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, well, you hear the quotes from DJ Lagway this week. It sounds like he's kind of, still dialed in. They've still got dogs. They got some players on that offense and defense Can you keep most of them focused and ready to go? It's going to be a rivalry game, so
Well,
you
you
never know.
probably, I don't know what Billy Gonzalez's what goals are, but I'm just going to think in this regard, the players are just going. I'm not saying the players get to do what they want, but they get to more likely they get to be more loose because they're just like, yeah, who cares, right? No one expects us to do anything, so maybe there's some more motivation. Maybe there's some more personal motivation because there are no expectations.
Exactly, it could be. Everybody's loose. I mean, it's honestly it creates a more honest environment because right now, 30 days after the coach is gone, they can leave. Players can leave. So, hey, if you want to go, leave. You want to stay, you're gonna play and be focused. It just kind of puts everything on the open, and you just kind of breathe. There was a lot of pressure on Florida from the time the season started. There were the rumors about Lagway hurt, Billy Napier's on the hot seat, and all of its stuff. Okay, it finally blew up. Finally happened. Now what? Now we just get to play. Now we just get to have some fun, and that can translate to a win,
Well, here's the thing in this regard. If you go down the list, right? Miami lost, South Florida lost, LSU lost, as you know, and the such, and Texas A&M, of course. All those teams are ranked. They've lost to 4 ranked teams. It's not like we've lost to the worst of the worst. We just haven't beat any of the bet. We beat Texas, sure, but you get my point. It's like five ranked teams in the first 7 games. Again, just a ridiculously brutal schedule. And the reality of what it comes down to at the end of the day is that you got to play that week to week to week to week to week. So it's just like you get 2 weeks off. If you somehow beat Georgia, then you're looking at Kentucky and Tennessee and Ole Miss to finish. Do I think we can beat Ole Miss? I don't know about that. I think they can beat Kentucky. I think they can beat Kentucky, and I think they can be competitive with Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee's at home. The point is what I'm just trying to tell you is there was still something to look forward to. If they lost to Georgia, there was nothing to look forward to. So, maybe again, I would have waited till after that game, but it is what it is. And again, I just think that they're so want to get ahead of this because they believe that it's going to be very hard to find a good coach. And I really believe that.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, so Tennessee is at home this year. Florida's got them in Knoxville.
I believe is Florida playing at? I think Florida's playing at home, aren't they? Or is that on the road? I forget.
I don't know offhand because I was just going to say that because if it's in Gainesville, I'm taking Florida.
Yeah, I think it is. Let me just double check, and then we'll complete this. Yeah, it's at Florida. So. It's Jacksonville. We got to go to Lexington. Then Florida's got to go to Ole Miss, but they have Tennessee at home and they have FSU at home. So again, you got some home games there at the end too. So there's still a road to 6 victories at the very least, which is not great, but it's something at least. At least you get the 30 more practices or whatever it's called, right? You still get all those 15 extra. I think it's 15 extra practices, right? But my point of what I'm just trying to tell you is that. They're still a competitive enough team that they'll be there, except I don't know about the Ole Miss game, but I think in those other 4 games, I think they'll be there till the very end of all those games. Doesn't mean they'll win, but I think they'll be there. I think 5 wins is probably possible. I don't know about 6, but I'm just saying if they were able to beat Georgia, there is some hope for something meaningful is my point to you. So that's why I kind of think like it was too quick. But I understand why, because again, I just believe, and you don't have to talk about this again, but I just believe that they don't know who's going to be the next head coach, and they want to get ahead. And here's my response to you. I don't want a legacy coach. I want somebody who's got some track record, and then someone who's motivated, by the way, someone who's not just a name looking to get another job because they haven't had a job in recent years. To me, that is not the answer. Lane Fobbs, Bearcat Bites, obviously on X, Twitter, does the weekly Substack on Sam Houston, all the cool little schools in college football. As always, tell us where we can find you.
Find me on Bearcat Bites at the Twitter below. I've got the Bearcat Bites t-shirt on, Big Sam representing. It's the only independent media covering Sam Houston football year-round at Bearcat Bites on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe. We've got some really, really good stuff on there right now. So make sure you check it out.
Thank you, Lane. Appreciate you.